Hello, welcome to a Map Business Online video. This is a video presentation that's associated with a blog I just wrote about map look and feel. I just put a territory on the map. Territory creation is pretty easy to do in Map Business Online. All I did was grab a polygon tool and go through some random zip codes, just like that, bringing it back to the beginning and selecting that zip code layer and then naming the territory, just Ter 2, Ter 1 and 2. So pretty easy building a territory map in Map Business Online. Now we see the list of territory zip codes within that particular territory. I can then delete my polygon. But a lot of people, I think, would probably come into Map Business Online, get to that point where they've quickly built a territory or two, and then they have to decide, well, how do I make this look better? What do I do next? So there are a lot of look and feel options, and we keep them here in Map and Data for the most part, although you can play with all sorts of different functions here in Map Business Online to adjust your look and feel. And I've addressed most of them in my blog, and at the end I've even linked to some other blog links so that you can read more about Legend and about map templates. But here, let's just kind of clean this up a little bit and see what we can do to make it look better. After you've created a territory, the territory layer shows up here in Map and Data. And that gives you the ability to go in and adjust the way the territories look and feel aside from that zip code layer. Now that zip code layer, I could uncheck it. And now I'm just looking at my background map and my two territory maps, my two territory map areas on the map itself. These are random territories, but often what customers require for territory maps are going to be related to random areas, and they may not fit neatly into a state pattern or a county pattern. They may be kind of oddball, like hanging like a cloud over the United States. So how do you make that look better? So the first thing I would do is I would go into, I've turned off all my other layers, zip codes, counties, and states, and I've left the street background layer on. You can see if I turn it off, it's just blank blue. So I'm going to hover over that territory layer. I'm going to click my Edit Map Properties button, gear, whatever you want to call it, and I am going to do some editing based on these functions right here. So you can see I've got on the side here, general, labels, and intersections. Intersection deals with overlapping territories. We're not going to look at that today. Labels deals with labels. So if I wanted to go in and adjust the labels on my territory, for instance, I could change the look and feel of my territory label background and make it yellow. Maybe that looks better already. So right now I'm going to leave labels the way they are, but we do have the ability to make them larger and smaller and change the way the font looks, all those usual kinds of things. But under General, which is the top tab in the Territories layer, we can go in and adjust the look and feel. And that capability is there for any layer. You can see that all the map layers, including territories, have that ability. So my first thing, I look at those territories and I think those inner lines of zip codes are distracting. And right there you can see there's a little checkbox that's called Hide Internal Boundaries. Now I've gotten rid of that distraction. I also think that they're not distinct. Those territories don't stand out as distinct from the background map, especially if I have other zip codes or other map layers turned on. So I'm going to make their boundaries a little thicker, and I'm going to change the color of those boundaries to black. Now they stand out. So we've got a situation now where we're clearly directed with our eyes to these two territories. And I think another thing I would do is adjust the transparency, because if I'm going to use this map background layer, I'm going to want to see a little bit of it through my territories. And so I can just move that across. Let's start with 50% and see how that feels and see how that looks. Great. Now, do I want any other map layers to come out? I've got the option for counties and states. So I would turn on the state layer, and I would, again, hover over it and go to map properties. And the first thing I would do is change the color of the state background to something that's darker, but not quite as dark as what I had. So now we've got blue. You know, you could try different colors. That's all up to you. It's a subjective sort of process. Do you like dark green? Do you like dark blue? Would you rather have it be some sort of a red? So you can choose what that's going to be. And I would take away the fill completely with the state layer, because all I want is to provide a reference, the shape of the state, because most people will recognize Oklahoma or Illinois. They don't need to be reminded of the label, the Iowa and the Iowa here. You can see that Iowa right there is the background map. That Iowa right there is with the state layer. So I can go to labels and I can say, you know what? I don't need to see my auto labels, and simplify my map, because I've already got in the background layer a label for the states, and I can't actually turn that off. So I can turn it off here with my state label. You can ask yourself, you know, does that add value to my map? I usually think that it does, having the state layer turned on. The county layer, maybe not so much. So if we took the fill away from that county layer, does that add value to my map? Now, it might in some situations. If you're a company that happens to build their territories on zip codes, but has some other relationship with counties, like maybe you sell to municipalities or you sell into county governments, or maybe you use counties out west in a way that we wouldn't back east because our counties are so small and dense. There's a lot of them. So it's up to you. It's up to you and your map audience. What do they think about when they look at the map? Do they need to see counties? You can think about labels for counties too, because in this particular situation, the labels are not on. So if we went to county labels, I've got county selected, I'm in the label function, and I'm going to go down to auto labels, and you can see it's set to show up at a state level. So if I zoomed into the Missouri area, I would see county labels turn on. I'll just do that. Let's see what happens when I go into like a state level. Do the county labels come on? And in fact, they do. So at that label layer, at that layer or zoom point, I've got county labels. Maybe that's good enough. Maybe if somebody wants to see counties, they can zoom in. And if they go back out to where we were before, they don't see the labels. But you do have the option to adjust where those labels poke up or appear by moving from state level to, say, world or North America. And now you're going to have county labels everywhere. So now you've got to think about that. Do I want county labels on the map? Do they add value? At what point where I'm zooming into territories, do I get all the county labels that I want to see? That can be tricky. We have customers that ask about that all the time. So let's say if we said this is my focus of my map because I've got two territories, I want to see them both. Do I get all of my counties? Now you can go in and do some adjustments to labels, make them smaller at the county level layer, and maybe you'll get most of those labels, and maybe that's a nice look and feel for what you need. At this point, you could think, well, you know, it's still a little busy. Maybe I don't want my streets background there, and you could turn that off. And maybe I still want to see roads. So you can go up to the Add Map Layer button right here, click it, and bring down some options so we could add highways to the map, which might give you a little bit more reference. When I look at this map now, I think maybe the state layer the state layer border needs to be adjusted, because let me just go into general here. I don't think the red works anymore. I'm going to go back to a darker blue. Again, that's personal preference. And you know, I don't know exactly why I feel that way, but it's got something to do with the way my eyes pick up that map. I might try different state backgrounds. I should try different map backgrounds. I might try my imagery set, just satellite imagery. In the map background, I got to turn it on. Now, if I do that, I'm going to have to go in and change the county labels because I don't like that white shadow. So now I'm going to go back to labels. Now I'm going to undo the white shadow. Maybe. I kind of like that look, but that's me. I've got highways on there. I've got my territories clearly layered out. I've got highways for, a sense of maybe where my salespeople are going or where people have to travel or what the major roads are. It's up to you. Lots of different choices and options. And then you can import your own data and work with the symbols on your own data. I've got a reference to another blog on that. And you've got that legend, which is always editable right there. So you can go in and edit a lot of these functions to get rid of labels that are superfluous. Like I don't need to know what the highway deal is here. And I don't need to know that there's states on there when I can see them. So I can adjust that off. And I don't need to know that there's a county layer on because I can see it. So now I've made my legend a little bit more functional. And maybe I could even go in and territories, I could describe that a little better. Territories as of January 2018. And I could change the label here, Territory 1. And you could say June 2016 was established. And then you could say Territory 2. And we'll say that was established in September 2017. Whatever you need that to say, you can make it say. And make that legend helpful for your map audience so that they can now see, okay, Territory 1, that's when that happened. Territory 2, that's when that happened. There are all the counties I'm interested in, blah, blah, blah. It's up to you. It's a subjective operation, but this blog and video is just to give you a sense of how you can adjust the look and feel of your map and have it sing to your map audience. Go to mapbusinessonline.com and take our free trial.